have one job here, and it's to irritate you. I'm pretty good at it. Because what I want to pull out of you is the reality that you're probably not doing your best work. Now, best work is a specific term for me. Your best work is something that helps you and helps other people. This is that sweet spot that Joshua and Anthony just mentioned. Okay? Your best work really requires you showing up. And your best work is easily displaced by other stuff. I call it OPP, not the Naughty by Nature song in the 90s, but other people's priorities. Other people's priorities that you make your own. OPP is what keeps you from doing your best work. And one of the missions that I'm on is to reclaim work so that it's not a four-letter word that we try to get away from. Because your best work is sacred. If you don't do it, no one else can. And if you don't do it, the world is less well off. I know many of us start small businesses because we think we have a solution that the marketplace needs. The problem is, just because you think they need it doesn't mean they're going to buy it. You have to convert your language and your brand into information that makes sense for them. Join the conversation that's already going on in their head. Don't try to start a new conversation. And how do you figure out what that conversation is? You ask them. You listen to their response. You build a solution that solves whatever they said their pain is. You test it in the marketplace. Now, I want to be clear here. Testing it with your team does not count. Talking to people who already know what your solution is and don't have that problem does not count. You have to test it in the marketplace to test that the way that you're building whatever your solution is matches that language that's in their head. And you do this over and over until you nail it. Nail it, then scale it. And this showing up as your best self is really important because boundaries allow you to do exactly that. But when you really practice boundaries, you model behaviors that other people can use so they show up as their best selves as well. We've all been in relationships to where we've had to be smaller. We've had to be what somebody needed to be. We needed to be safe for them. And that's a hard way to show up as a fully expressive human being. Boundaries allow you to carve relationships with others so that everybody can show up as your best self, right? And the other reason we talk so much about boundaries is because they are those practices that you do on a daily basis. And as Ann Diller says, how you spend your days is how you live your life. And if you spend your days unboundaried, you have an unboundaried life.
You want to lose a lot of friends? Do some epic shit. Because you'll lose friends in a heartbeat. They get frustrated, they get mad, you're not spending as much time with them, you no longer want to grovel with them, you don't hang out at the pub, you don't play video games with them 4 hours a day, right? You really start to lose a lot of friends whenever you start focusing on the stuff that matters. And part of that is, I really think it's kind of like, you know when you're in one of those short buildings, and there's an elevator and the stairs right by the elevators, and you're going on like the second or third floor, and you see that person that chooses not to go into the elevator and starts walking up the stairs and creates a little bit of pressure for you to walk up the stairs too. Well, if you didn't want to walk up the stairs, that person's a pain in the butt, right? In a similar way, the person that lives that life on fire, that lives that very enlightened, principled life, is that person walking up the stairs, right? They're saying, look, we come from the same place. Like, we come from the same hood with the same amount of resources. The difference between me and you is that I'm doing something. that removes so much of your energy around maintaining your complacency, right? Because you don't have the option anymore to say, oh, it's just how things have to be. No, they don't, right? That person provides that example. And if you're that person, you're going to catch some heat for it, right? Because people would rather stay as they are. People only change when the outcome of changing is better than the discomfort of changing.